you ready to discover who you came here to be? Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. Human Design is a system and a tool that is here to empower you and show you your greatest potential. Come learn with us and discover who you really are. Hi friends, Krystle here. I want to share with you a huge opportunity that doors just opened to, and that is our Color Code Variable Intensive. This is a 5-week journey through every single one of the Radical 4 transformations. This is going to open up your life in ways that you never have before. This is going to help accelerate your deconditioning process, and this is going to show you your unique path to purpose. This is only $500 from now till the 18th, as well as you are going to get our bonus fractal family framework, and maybe, just maybe, one more thing. There's a lot of bonus content that's going to be provided for you. There's going to be live and recorded weekly classes to dive into the depth of these variables. You're going to get a base buddy so that you guys can share your findings and discoveries together in your hypothesis on what it means to be you. There's so much opportunity on this class, and if you want to join us, we have only a few spots left. Go ahead and head down to the description down below and claim your spot. This is your time to radically transform your ways like you never have before. And we have the digestible material to help you get there. See you over on the next episode. Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. I'm Krystle.
And I'm Leah.
And this is the podcast you've been waiting for.
Why?
I don't know
why am I doing
point
your fingers?
Oh, pointing. Yeah, I watched the last one with yours. I was like, I don't know what was happening.
I never know.
So
Here we are.
Here we are. Welcome to the program, our weekly program. If you are new here, these particular episodes, if you ever see in the title, the program, we are discussing the weekly transits for the week through the lens of human design, astrology, and tarot. Now, the reason why it's called the program is because this is a program. This is a grand movie that we're in, grand TV show. And it's like, what episode are we tuning into this week through the mind? The mind is our movie. We're watching and really here to be the observer of our environment, of our world. And that's what I feel like the transits allow us to see is what is actually happening. What is actually happening? And that's something that we go through this week. So welcome if you're new. This is also a podcast for a bunch of weirdos, as I say every week. We are clearly a bunch of weirdos, and we welcome all the weirdos to gather and join us in my kitchen in Leah's market. What do you want to say about that?
I don't know. I love that we get to talk about this kind of stuff because it helps me learn like through all the different lenses and not have to put like specific like labels on things. So it helps me kind of interpret the frequencies going on around me in like a more logical, tangible way, because sometimes in the past I've learned like astrology and I'm like, I have no idea what the heck you're even saying.
Yeah.
This is like, here's what you might experience, or here's some energies, or here's some, disruptions or friction that you might be feeling. And then you can kind of like see it play out in the world around you, which makes it much more easy to digest rather than having it be kind of like, I have no idea what you're saying
Like,
to me.
yeah, when you start talking about like conjunctions,
Yeah,
and
those
it's just,
those are big words for me
yeah, when you
sometimes.
start, and even with the human design language, like they're
Mhm.
like, when I, for people that I'm explaining human design and I give them the language without giving them the context, which I don't usually do, but it's like I have to be you have to be very like you're speaking to a child. And that's kind of
Yeah.
what we do on here because we've tried different ways. We used to be on Clubhouse, and that's really where I learned that it's easiest to just give the direct energy like this is what's happening, this is what's playing out, and this is how you can potentially use it. And
Hmm.
because when you go too specific, you kind of you lose like 90% of the people. So that's
Yeah.
why we don't actually give, once in a while we don't give like specific gates and channels. A lot of times if it's like this week there's a Cazimi. So and I'll give an explanation of what a Cazimi is so that way you can have it, but I'm not here to explain. I'm not doing these are not educational episodes in regards that I'm trying to explain to you what this actually means. I'm explaining to you what is the energy playing out. And if you want to know
Yeah.
what things actually mean, we do
Hmm.
have educational episodes that we have throughout the entire podcast that you can find. And I think Leah, you have a page for that on our website too,
Yep.
right? There's a page on our website. If you go to our website down below in the comments, humandesignastro.com, you can find our specific educational episodes that Leah has put in her market. And
Yeah. It's in
then
the beginner's path section. It's like if you scroll just a little bit, there's beginner's path, intermediate, advanced path. If you click on the beginner's path and scroll down, it'll say podcast educational.
yeah. So there you go. And then we also dive way deeper in the cosmic community. That's where we actually do specifically talk about the gates and channels and some deeper aspects of astrology as well, and then
Mm-hmm.
tarot, because that's where people are ready to learn on here. Free things, people are just kind of like casually listening. And
Mm-hmm.
when you throw in too many big words or too much language that they've never learned before, we lose you.
Yeah. Yep.
So
So Cosmic Community, the doors are already closed, but they open on May 1st. So May
May
1st through
1st.
3rd.
Yes. And the people that we do have in the cosmic community, I think all of you listen. I'm not sure, but we love you. You guys are seriously
Amazing.
just amazing people that are
Mhm.
ready to like make changes in your life, and you're so supportive of us and each other, and I'm just
Yeah.
very happy to have you.
It's really beautiful to see all the comments on each of like the aura meme updates and the tarot polls for the week. And then people just
Mhm.
kind of dropping in like little intuitive hits or creative stuff into the group. It just helps us support each other. And like, there's not a lot of places where you can just kind of put information in there or talk about stuff and be fully supported.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about this earlier, like there's a lot of times where you have like people just kind of lurking around and they're not really supporting you. They're not there to support you. But that's what we have this group for, is support and to be
Yeah.
there and help you navigate through all kinds of stuff.
I didn't realize how much I actually needed that until we
Yeah.
created it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, this is my kitchen where I get to
Mhm.
gather everybody to my fire. And it's extremely, extremely nourishing on my entire being. And that's what happens when you're in your correct environment. When you're in your
Mhm.
correct environment, you get fed. That's the way that it works.
Yeah.
When you're in your transferred environment, meaning the opposing end, where you meet resistance, okay, and resistance is not a bad thing, but you're not going to get well fed in that kind of environment. And so
Mhm.
sometimes I'm like, this feels like I've been feeling some resistance with the podcast. I'm going to be very honest. We've been talking about it, and I think that we're going to make some changes this summer on the structure of the podcast. The program isn't most likely going anywhere, but it is going to get a reframe, a restructure that feels better for us,
Mhm.
because we've been showing up here. I think it'll be September. September will be 2 years. that we've been
Mhm.
doing this. And I want to be completely honest. I just don't feel like I get enough support um or feedback from doing this. And I have to make changes that feel good for me because as someone that has an open throat, I really need to be seen. And if
Mhm.
I feel like people aren't seeing me as much as my heart is showing up for,
Mhm.
then I really do need to make changes. And it's very hard for a generator, a pure generator, to change course. I really don't like that. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, you're telling me I have to try a different way or completely eliminate it altogether? Like that feels daunting because because the thing is, as generators, I was talking about this with another generator yesterday. Like we put so much work into the things that we build because that's what generators are. We're builders. We put so much work and effort, and it a lot of times it might not have the payoff for the passion.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to feel that way. And so I've been feeling that way for a while, but I think I'm finally ready to make the change. And that's what
Mhm.
it takes a while for the generator to change, of course. Because if you think about
Mhm.
it's all about for generators, it's all about rhythm, right? And I don't have that manifesting throat energy that manifestors, you never know where they're going, right? They're like, I'm over here and then I'm over here. So for
Mhm.
manifesting generators, them pivoting, it's a little easier because they have that throat energy that kind of moves
Right.
them faster, right? For the pure generator, I'm like, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom.
It's
And
so interesting to watch that.
yeah. So I'm like, oh, this isn't quite working the way that maybe, and it was working for a very long time. That's the other thing is when things work for a long time and then the energy I guess leaves in a way or changes
Mhm.
or shifts or whatever it is, and then the generators what, but this was doing well or this was working or but maybe it's time to change.
Mhm.
Maybe it's time to change.
Yeah. And it's just like kind of shifting how we put things out or how we do things. And it's not going to like deplete all of the energy or not be as valuable as it is now. We just have to kind of shift and test out and see what works for us. And I think that's what business is all about. Like, there's always going to be times where, okay, maybe we need to shift and see if this other way works. And we can always come back and do something different again. Like, if that didn't work, I think that's a very 1-3 thing is like, let's just try this other thing real quick and see.
Yeah, I need
Sometimes there's just
I need
resistance to get there.
I need to I need to shift some things and like also we put so much energy in this that
Mhm.
it actually depletes from other work that I actually do need to be doing or want to be doing or could be doing if I didn't have all the energy being put into this podcast.
Well, there's a
And
lot of prep work you do too. Like, it's not just this actual recording that you're hearing. Like, you're putting in a lot of prep work in order for us to actually record.
right, right, right.
All the
It's
things.
true. People don't, I think people that, either casually listen to podcasts or do not have a business or they're not an entrepreneur in some way, whatever that is, they don't
Mhm.
realize how much goes on behind the scenes for entrepreneurs to put the pieces together.
Yeah, like a lot, a
Like a
lot.
lot,
Like,
like a
we know
lot.
that even not just for the podcast, but for our business in total, there's a huge amount of effort behind the scenes that goes on that we probably don't even share enough of. I know I don't. Like,
Yeah.
the amount of stuff that we do behind the scenes is it's just, but it's all part of the process, like the part of that this education that we want to share and the offers that we have. And it just takes time to collect all the information and put it together and experience in life, like it's not that we're taking stuff from books and throwing it into an offer. We've
No, or I'm taking
done
other
thousands of
people's.
readings and we've experienced tons of other people's their life and gathered information. It's way more than just typing up stuff.
Yeah. So we'll be making some changes this summer. The program is just going to be getting a reboot.
Mhm.
So we'll provide more information probably next month. I'm thinking it'll probably start next month for that so that we can open up more doors for other portals of ways we can receive.
Mhm.
Because if I'm going to be completely honest as a defined heart and also with the channel of the entrepreneur, because there's a huge reciprocity line that runs through that frequency. If I'm not receiving from how much I'm giving, I'm out. I'm out. I can only give for so long before the heart says no. The heart actually literally will say, no, I'm not moving. I'm not doing that. You didn't get anything back. And I know that it's like you should give without the idea of receiving, but unfortunately for me, that's not correct. I have to like the moment that I decided to finally honor that place in me because I have two separate voices talking because I'm split definition. So that voice is not connected to my authority. So it's harder for me to honor it. I've realized that's one thing that I've realized about myself in the last 6 years that I've gone through my experiment with human design is that because that voice is not my actual authority and it's my support to how I operate, that I've ignored it. I used to ignore it. And I used to just, oh, well, if I just keep giving and giving and giving and loving and loving and loving and loving, they will see and they will give right back to me. No, they don't. No, they don't. And
Mm-mm.
there's probably a lot of you out there that are that. And that's okay. You might not realize. I think a lot of people do things unconsciously, obviously, and they don't realize how much it impacts or affects another. And so for me, because I don't get the respect, I have to bow out. I have to, or I have to reframe or rework. Okay, so maybe this is not the right way to present this information. Maybe there's a better way. There's a better way to probably do this. So let's try a different way. I had a manifestor initiate me with this potential different way. And I was like, huh, I sat with that. I was like, maybe I could do this a different way.
Mhm.
Maybe it's time. Maybe you're initiating me because it's time for me to make a change.
Mhm.
And I also have to respect you because you put in so much effort with the editing. You guys also don't realize how much Leah does most of the behind the scenes stuff. She's a second line, she's a projector. She's making sure that things are running efficiently, things are working, things are put in place. All of those things Leah does. I'm honestly more so the voice, and Leah is the energy behind the voice. That's how we work
Yeah.
efficiently.
Yeah.
So,
So it's all the things, but I hope you're excited as we are to see what will come.
yeah. And we're really excited because what we did have though is this last week is one, a lot of people joined our variable intensive. As
Yeah.
of right now, I would love so much before this episode comes out that just all spots are full because
Right.
the first 6 spots filled up like less than a day.
I think so. Yeah.
Um, and now we have 3 spots that remain for color code variable intensive, if you didn't know. And we'll probably explain throughout this episode. If you're listening, listen to the little commercials we put out on this so that you can gather a little more information. And also go down below to the description and click the color code variable link, and then you can learn more information on that. I also wrote a blog on variables. If you're interested in that, we'll drop that blog below too so that you can read that if you need a little more information. So color code is basically going to be one giant experiential learning. That's really what I wanted this to be, because we did
Mhm.
a version of this in our membership. We also have little mini classes on this. If you need a little taste, if you're unsure and you're like, let me just pick up one of your classes, and then I can see if that's something that I'm interested in. I will say that I'm reworking all of those classes currently. The audios are going to be getting redone after the variable intensive because I know I'm going to be doing some deep learnings with the people that are in the group. So I want to make sure that I'm providing information as much as I've learned. And so we're redoing the audios for the mini classes after the variable intensive. The guidebooks are actually getting reworked right now, and I'm in the process of going through all source material. I found even another lecture that I had never read from Raw on the variables, even though pretty much everything, all of his lectures on this stuff is just like giant repeating itself and then like random shit that you're like, what class am I listening to right now?
Where am I right now?
I'm like, I would there the first probably like 5 pages of this one class. I'm like, this has nothing to do with determination.
That's how he does stuff sometimes, but
Yeah, but
anyway.
that's the thing is people are like, I can't listen to Raw or I can't read his stuff or I have absolutely zero clue what this man is talking about. I take so as we are both have the design of the transmitter. That's what the channel of surrender is. It's the design of a transmitter. We are transmitting this information to make it more digestible for you guys, everything in relation to human design and really life. That's what the transmitter does. It kind of takes filters everything it's receiving and condenses it into a more digestible form and then presents it out to the tribe. That's what the channel of the entrepreneur does. And so I can interpret the Riddler. That's what I call Ra. He's the Riddler. He actually bridges both of my splits. And I can listen to him or read his work and just like I eat it up. I literally just eat it up. It nourishes me. I understand it on a level that I can't even explain sometimes. I have to sit with it. A lot of that happened with the variables. I've gone through so many lectures with him with the variables. And the first time I saw the neutrino image that he had, which will be you'll also be getting in the guidebook. You'll be getting a lot of different images on how to explain the variables. It'll be very helpful when we go through the classes with this. And so the first time I saw that image, I was like, huh, that's what is that? I was like, I feel like I understand this and don't understand this at the exact same time. So I just sat there and I stared at it for a while and then I put it away. And then I started reading and listening to a bunch of his lectures. And then after like a month or so, I came back and I looked at it again. And I was like, oh, I get it. I understand what this means. And then each time I look at it, I actually understand on a deeper level. And so I've been experimenting, learning, teaching, doing classes, readings on the variables for the last 3.5 years. We did a membership last year on the variables, which I gathered my gate 13 and Jupiter gathered all the information and stories on people, which I'm going through right now too, to try to, it's through stories that we learn. Really, that's you right. That's the sixth color of personal view, sixth color of innocence. It's through stories that we really are able to understand and almost digest information because when you just read, oh, view is your perspective and it's the way you see the world, you're like, well, what does that mean for wanting? You just told me my view's wanting. What does that mean? Is that what I want? Is that what other people want? Like, what does that actually mean? Because all of these, the language of variables is very much a code.
It is, yeah.
The word doesn't necessarily mean or doesn't mean exactly what that word actually is. And that's why I think variables are so confusing for most people.
Got a riddle.
Because there's so much misinformation on the variables now on Google. Do not Google variables unless you know directly that person that's sharing that information got that information from Raw, or very least got that information from somebody that got it from Raw. But even then, I would say no matter what, you should look at source material. Like learn from somebody that did get from source material. And then once you start oh, that makes more sense. Then go and get the source material so that you can actually see it from the very beginning. Because
Mm-hmm.
when I think that's the problem right now with human design is that there's just people are heard an aspect from this person that they got that from this person, and then it ends up being a game of telephone. And it's like, if you remember when it back in the day when we used to play telephone, if you guys ever played that, I'm like, are we dating ourselves? Do people not? When did people stop playing that game? I don't know. But anyways, if you remember telephone, somebody has like a sentence or something, right? That they whisper in the ear of somebody else, and then they go to the next person right next to them and they whisper that same sentence in the ear to somebody else. But this is where you learn that how much one people are not listening,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Right? And how much people are interpreting what they're listening in a completely different way, and it means
Yes.
something completely different to them. So then they
Mm-hmm.
tell that interpretation to somebody else. So by the end of the telephone game, it's a completely new sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I believe, as a 1-3, and also from learning the foundation of Kabbalah, that you really have to go to the source. Yes, have other mentors or teachers or whatever you want to call them. Have other people that are helping you understand this information, especially if they learned it from source. But I do believe you should also look at the source information. Maybe not first. I think for some people, for me, I needed to see the source material first, but for some people, they might need to hear it from us first. That
Right.
someone that took all the little details and then presented it in a more, as I say, digestible way. And then
Mm-hmm.
be like, okay, I understand this now, the essence of this now. Let me go now look at the source information.
Yeah. Sometimes that needs to happen though. Like you need to get a bite-sized piece of it so that it makes sense for you. Like I know for like some things, like say Gene Keys, for example,
Mm.
you're like, you should get that big book. I'm like, cool. So I got the big book and I was like, the heck am I even looking at? It's this thick. But when you take your experience or what you've learned or break it down a little bit more, then you can go back to the book and say, oh, okay, this is what that means, or this is where that came from, or this makes more sense now when I read or see this picture or interpret it in this way because I've gotten a little bit more of like a chewed down piece rather
Yeah.
than a full blown thing thrown at you.
Yeah. It can be overwhelming, I
Yeah,
think, for a lot of people. And Gene Keys, I'm still like,
yeah.
I'm not sure. Like,
think of it.
human
I think of
design
it like a
came so
baby.
natural. What?
Right. I think of it same. I think of it like a baby bird. Like you have to have the digested food. Like it's gross to think about, but like we
Yeah.
need kind of the digested food from the mom
Yeah.
first to be able to take in that information, and then you can go out and get the
Yeah.
information from the actual source. Like
And
that's
then you
exactly
grow
what
up,
44
you've,
is. Now I've interpreted that for you.
yeah, you've grown up, you've developed,
Hmm.
you've learned your way. And now it's like, okay, now I can go and see things from the beginning
Hmm.
again in a different way. But sometimes it really does need to be broken down for people
Yeah.
first. And I feel like that's why a lot of people come to us, because we break down this information. A lot of
Hmm.
people that I'm learning, they come to me and they say, I've heard about human design before, and people have explained it to me. And I just, it sounded like nonsense, and I didn't understand what they were saying. I didn't understand what they were trying to tell me. But when you say it, they say to me, it makes a lot more sense and it's way more exciting. And I can get it. I can actually get it. And so that
Yeah.
makes me want to then go learn. But I think, and not everybody has the design of a transmitter. Not everybody understands this information at the source level. And I'm not trying to say that I'm any better than anybody else. All I'm saying is I get this on a very, very, very deep level. I felt like when I first found this information, well, first of all, hold on a second. I had a flashback the other day of actually the first time that I heard human design on a podcast. That was how I learned about human design. I'll never forget it. I literally will. And this is how I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because it's those moments in time that you have that like it's basically your higher self telling you this is it. You need to pay attention to this. So I'll never forget it. I was driving. I had Milo in the back car. We were going to my mom's house. And so I popped a podcast episode on while we were driving. All of a sudden, I hear somebody talking about human design and that the Kabbalah tree of life is in this system. I literally, I'm not joking you, pulled over to the side of the road and started crying. And that was the moment that I realized that everything I had gone through and working at the Kabbalah Center for 3.5 years, I had no idea why I was there. Every day I would go to that center and I would say to myself, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here? I have no idea, but I know that I need to be here. That's all I kept hearing is you have to be here. And so I was like my right environment, my right body. I'm dry kitchens. I was literally absorbing like a sponge. If you're right body, you're literally absorbing your environment. And so I was absorbing all the information on Kabbalah through working there, through being a student there. I was also a student there. I did Kabbalah 1, 2, and 3. I took an aura class on how to read auras and like a bunch of other weird classes too that they had. And so I was absorbing all this information from learning from the teachers, from just watching them, all of it. And so that moment that I had where I was sitting on the side of the road, it was this realization that that whole time that I was there was for this, was for that moment for me to sit there and realize that I was supposed to be learning human design for whatever the purpose was, for now for me to be sharing it. And so then when I downloaded my body graph for the first time and I saw my body graph, I saw my human design chart, I cried again because I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally the tree of life. They used to have like all of these different tree of life around the entire building, and I was constantly just looking at it, and that was the reason why, because I needed to learn from a foundational level of what Kabbalah is, because your human design body graph is the Kabbalah tree of life. That it is literally the foundation of the human design system, Kabbalah. And people don't realize that. People don't realize how much Kabbalah actually is infused. And if you need to know what all the 10 emanations are, the 10 sefirot, you need to know what they are, because as you learned in the magic workshop that you came to, they hold the essence of the channels. They hold the essence of the channels. So if you don't know the essence of that sphere, you miss the entire point. And so I am here to be a transmitter of this information. I feel like I was built to be a transmitter of this information. It feels crazy to me that I feel this way and that I know this and all the things that I had to go through to be here right now. But it changed my life. Mm-hmm. And I know that it could change yours. Stop dabbling. Stop sitting around Googling human design. Like, really either go to source information or go to someone that has it so you can change your life too. And that's what the 4 radical transformations actually are. Opportunity to transform your life. And that's what we're going to do in this intensive, is transform people's lives. If you want more information, like I said, you can go in the description down below. Hopefully we'll have all these full at this point. If you have any questions, just ask us. But I understand the variables also on a level that I don't see anybody else explaining it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people it's just theory. It's just words. I just see it when I look at social media, not everybody. I also have to be very clear about this. Not everybody, but I'd say a good majority. It's just words. They mean nothing. I'm reading this. I'm like, first of all, this is not 100%, but I also allow people to have their own interpretation, because even if it's not 100% correct, that's what they need. But that's why
Yeah.
it's important to understand the foundational material so that when you go and see somebody else's interpretation, that you can take it or leave it and you see where the parts are that are correct or where they're not or whatever it is. We also need to stop policing people with this information, myself included. I'm an asshole because most of this is watered down gibberish that means nothing, and it's annoying. It's annoying. I find it very, as a power view and desire, I find it very annoying to see that people have taken the foundation of this information and um just kind of restructured it into where it isn't even human design anymore. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's not my problem.
Yeah. You just take your information and teach it the way that you want to.
Exactly. So if you want to learn about the variables, join us for the intensive. If doors may or may not already be full, we'll still leave all this part in here so that you can learn about it. We will be doing the intensive again, most likely. So if you couldn't make it in for this one, then you'll make it in for the next one. I will say that this is $1,000 worth of information for only 500 until, what is it, the 14th? What day are we? I
The
forget.
18th, I believe. The
Okay.
18th.
Okay, either the 14th or the 18th. It's all down below in the on our website if you want accurate information, because
Yeah.
apparently I can never remember dates.
After that, it goes up to 555, and you don't get a free fractal family framework.
Oh yeah, that's a big deal because that's
Crystal's doing a freebie for the early bird, which is, what did we just say, the 18th? So anytime if the next 3 people sign up before the 18th, you get it for $500 and you get the free fractal family framework. Oh, I haven't had to say it out loud.
yeah, it's really hard to say. I don't know why I did that to myself or anybody else. I just think it's funny to try to say that fast.
It is funny.
But it's only free for the people that join before the 18th, and then afterwards we're actually going to be turning that into a separate offer for people that maybe just want to learn about business and relationships, because that's what the fractal family framework is going to show you. Who's on your fractal with relationships and business is a relationship. So I want to show it from 2 different viewpoints so that you can use it. It literally changed my life. I'm now finding people directly on my fractal, and there's a few different ways to look at this. So I'm going to show you a few different ways to pinpoint this information, and then you get to watch it in your real world. You will have to get people's charts, obviously, to know if they're on your fractal to be 100% sure. But you know what? I've realized that you can feel it in your body.
Yeah.
You can feel the people that are directly on your fractal in your body. And then if you want confirmation, then you get to look at their chart and you'll see it.
Yeah.
So, there was something else I wanted to say, and I don't remember what it is. But yeah, I guess we can just dive right into the program.
Sure.
And we got a few things going on this week. This is, to me, as I said in the program plus in the cosmic community, I said this was the most exciting time for me, and I think for everyone. So listen up if you're not in the cosmic community, because some of this stuff you might be hearing for the first time. So we start out the week on, what is it, the 10th? Yep. I just had to make sure. I'm like, what week are we in? So Monday the 10th, we start out with a focus looking out at last week. What has been coming up for you? Maybe a little shock to your system. I know I have. And really this focus gate, this gate that we're focusing on through the week, that's giving us the essence of what we're learning through, is reminding us the only person that you're really competing with in life is yourself. And everything and every person that you experience is really just a mirror of your inner world. So if you're trying to compete with anybody outside of yourself, you're really still just competing with yourself. And we're being grounded in our insight, in our instinct. And this is really where we can hold the pose of our future. We had this activation happening for the full moon Libra last week. Go listen to that episode if you missed it. And we really are right now. And I had a huge and beautiful experience yesterday that happened to me in relation to being able to see my future. So maybe you've already seen it, or maybe this is a moment as you're listening to this right now that you can sit with yourself, close your eyes, find a place that feels good for you, and just look towards your future. And we're having a momentary activation of a sacral pressure to focus on the details and maybe see something you needed to see before we move on to the next program. Because later on Monday, we get a new program. Okay. And it's going to be on our growth, a focus on our growth, and through the work we are here to do. That will be our new focus. How can we grow and where are we supposed to go? So now that we've, left this old program, we've moved on, we've had a completion from the full moon. How can we expand out? So this is about maximizing our potential through expansion. How can we begin again with this energy is asking us, how can we begin again? Because we are now moving towards the next new moon, Aries, which is also going to be an eclipse. And that eclipse will be all about our future direction. And it's something we talked about in the program plus in the cosmic community. And we're being grounded in another instinct. Lots of nudges from our intuition is coming up lately with the program. So this particular energy is saying, what's it going to take for you to survive? What are the essentials that you need to survive on this material plane? That's what's going to be grounding us. Really being able to look out at our environment and saying, do we have all of the key essentials for us to survive? And so Venus moves into Gemini on Tuesday, the 10th. That's going to be inviting us to express ourselves and see both sides in our relationships, which I think we kind of need after this full moon Libra. Lots of fighting happened. I'm sure you guys have experienced it. Lots of fighting with this full moon Libra. There was lots of agitation with this full moon Libra. And really, because we had to have friction to see, is this worth it? Are these relationships worth it, or have they already expired? And so we still have the essence of this energy until we meet the next new moon. That's how it works. You're still in the energy of the last cycle until the next one comes in. So we're still sitting in the energy of relationships right now. And so on the 11th, this is my favorite day of the month, by the way. So write this down. Pause this video if you need to get a pen and paper. And also know that I'm going to be giving actually more information on this, but just so you can note that this is happening. So on the 11th, we have a Jupiter Cazimi, which I'm beyond excited about as a Sagittarius sun because Jupiter rules my sun. So this is going to be huge for me. And also, just so if you guys do not know, Jupiter is the second biggest neutrino stream aside from the incarnation cross. So what that means is we are receiving the second most information from the planets through Jupiter. They are really touching us on a very, very intimate, deep level. And if you want to learn about the transits, I just realized we haven't talked about it in a while. We do actually have a free class. We have a free class on the transits. We give you a little guidebook that you can read all about the transits. And do we have that down below? Yes. So Leah just said, we can find that in the description down below if you want to learn about the transits. It's also on our website. Well, actually, I'll take you directly to our website where it is, and you can pick up that free guide on the transits. And so I always like to share about Cazimis in our email list for some reason. I don't know. It just feels right for me. So I will be writing an email for the Jupiter Cazimi. So if you're not on our email list, get on it. Sometimes I like to make a video and send you the stuff and make the most out of that day, how to make the most out of that Cazimi. And if you don't know what Cazimis are, Cazimis mean the heart of the sun. It's when the planet gets so close that the sun picks up the essence of that planet and then shoots it out to us for an opportunity to capture the essence of that planet through the sun. So again, if you aren't on our email list, get on it because we send you little education from time to time in there. And we also do weekly cosmic codes or memes. We give you a lot of weekly information that we don't give you on here so that you can make the most out of your week. And then we also spontaneously give you education through human design, astrology, and tarot as well. For some reason, I like to do it on Cazimi's. I don't know. It's just how I feel. So I will be putting out an email on Cazimi's. So look out for an email on that if you are on our email list. And we also have a brief heart and throat activation, really allowing us to speak our truth and find compassion and love for who we are. Really a beautiful time to be this happening on the actual day of the Cazimi, because I think it's going to allow us to express ourselves in ways we never have before, especially with now Venus moving into Gemini. There's a lot of opportunity if you're listening to this, there's a lot of opportunity on being able to articulate your feelings, because you're going to want to do that because it's something that I'm about to tell you. So on Wednesday, we do get a brief activation and pressure on struggle and discovering maybe on this day what you are willing to put up with, and maybe a little momentum to push through that. And then we get a brand new, we get a brand new proactive pressure on Thursday that is really going to wake everybody up, a really provocative, pressure. And as the shackles have been removed from Saturn with gate 55, Mars is now coming in and saying, hey, listen, bitch, it's time to move. It's time to move. So Mars is going to move us in ways we never have before. Spirit is guiding us towards growth and expansion of our beings. Be mindful with this energy, because we're going to be holding this pose. We're going to be holding this energy for a little bit with Mars, Mars, we're going to have a little bit of a time with this energy. And I'm going to be completely honest. I never like when this channel comes in. I'm going to be I don't like it. I'm not emotional. My mom holds this channel, and it's a lot on my nervous system. So be mindful. Okay. Everybody that's listening to this, be mindful with this energy and it's in the moodiness as well. Because we'll be experiencing this emotional pressure and it's really going to be an opportunity to be kind with how we express ourselves. I'm talking to myself included, because I'm going to be getting super annoyed. So be kind in how you express yourself, because very often with this energy, it can be harsh and hot. I call this the hot poker. Okay. So really allow yourself to be kind. And then on Sunday, we get a new program that will also give us pressure to move through some roadblocks. There's a lot of pressure this week, as you're hearing. Lots of pressure has to come in, because we need pressure to act, right? So we have this pressure coming in to move through roadblocks, but this specific focus is on mutation to grow, establishing order where life has been challenging and confusing in the past. Very specifically, something most likely from your childhood, and we are being grounded in our values, which also is carrying the full frequency as well. So both of these program gates that are coming into the sun and the earth actually also activate the entire frequency of it, so that we can have a deeper understanding. It's not just like a hanging gate where we're like, what the fuck does that mean? You're going to experience the full energy of both of the sun and earth gates. So this is really about establishing order where life has been challenging and confusing in the past. And so it's allowing us to assess our relationships and how we can build more intimacy with them. We can see how the program is working. We had full moon Libra all about relationships, right? And releasing any relationship that isn't serving us, and how we are being asked now how we can rebuild. How can we rebuild a proper foundation again before the eclipses come? And I would say, I'm also looking to myself. I'm like, bitch, you need to get your shit together, because make sure it's sturdy. Make sure the relationships that you currently have, as we approach the first eclipse because the new nodal axis that we're going to be in transition of for the next few eclipses from the old to the new. It's like everything's kind of like bordering each other, and this next eclipse is going to be a hybrid. I'm probably not going to explain all of that because when we get there, I'll explain brief because I talked about it like 3 times in the cosmic community. And so it's it's really going to be about this new these new nodal axis that we're kind of like bordering, and also what we're moving towards is all about relationships. It's about relationship to self and relationship to the other. That's what Aries and Libra do. Relationship to self, relationship to other. In order to have a proper relationship with the other, you need to have a proper relationship with yourself. Because like I said, everything is just a mirror of what's going on internally. So if you don't have a proper foundation with who you are and love yourself at the deepest level, you'll be able to mirror that with the relationships through other people. You'll have a lot of not so nice ones. I've been there. I'm still working on all that shit because I'm a fucking third line. Okay. So that's all I got. That's all I got.
Wow. Okay. So I pulled the King of Wands, which is very much all of the things you said. The wands are actually fire element, and the king represents courage. There's a lot of lions and red color, orange colors, which represents courage and strength. And inspiration is an action-oriented card. So maybe, like you said, this week is the time to take some action towards something. What needs change? Where do you need to allow yourself inspiration or take the lead? There's a lot of opportunity for being very self-motivated. The king is very motivated himself. So maybe this is a time for you to motivate yourself, like to get out from underneath whatever rug you put yourself under and take action on something. There's a lot of confidence. The king is always very confident. And there's also green on it, which represents inspiration. Green is an inspiring color. And so there's, open yourself up for some inspiration, allow yourself to be courageous and take a next step toward whatever goal or desire that it is that you have in your life right now. So maybe someone is trying to take a trip or move or change jobs or work on their relationships. This could be a time for you to really assess what's going on around you and take action on that next step forward. A couple of keywords for the King of Wands are creativeness. Is that a word? Creativity, inspiration, forcefulness, charismatic behavior, and being bold. So, just allow this time to really tap into those kind of things, and don't be scared to take a leap if that's what you need. And so then I picked from the Work Your Light deck from Rebecca Campbell this week, and I pulled the Great Gathering, which is beautiful. And it says, it's all coming together, intuitive hits and soul tribe. You are being called to let your intuition move you physically. You are connected to a group of souls who are weaving a web around the planet. And as you travel and share your creations, something is rethreaded. The card is an acknowledgement that you are either being called to connect with others that are like you at a soul level, or that you already are. You are being called to gather groups of people, either by leading them or becoming part of a group that can support you and your soul's personal mission. You are a part of a group of souls who agreed to be here at this time in history to heal yourself, to heal your ancestral line and the planet, to raise consciousness so that you can continue to call this magnificent place home for eras to come. One of many consciously choosing to devote your life to something greater than yourself. It's time to call in your tribe by sharing your soul's voice and letting yourself be seen. When you share what is real and most true to you, you share the medicine that you most need, and those who are like you will gather around you. You are your soul tribe, and they are just like you. And just as you are longing and searching for them, they are longing and searching for you too. So an activation for this card is, I choose now to let myself be seen. I am ready to call in my soul tribe and create a web of light all over the planet. I think that card was for us too.
Yeah, that's your fractal family right there.
That's your
That's
fractal family.
literally a description of what
There
your
they are.
fractal family. Yeah, there they are. Speaking of, we didn't know that was going to happen. We were just talking about it earlier, but it all comes full circle from the beginning to the end. And so I think that this week, and especially like thinking about from what we talked about at the beginning and then everything I just talked about with the program, this is a huge opportunity to find your fractal family. This makes me more excited to put out that class, whether it be for those that are joining the intensive or those that pick it up after the intensive separately, because that was the biggest game changer for me, learning the types of people. That's what your variables show you, is that it's connected to your geometry. Okay. And it shows you the types of people that you're attracting. How do I attract? The variables show you that. How do I attract? Who are my people? And for the longest time, I didn't know. And then once I was able to see those people, my essence could then allow myself to start calling in that. Once you know what you're looking for, it's all of a sudden like you come online. You come online in a very different way. And so I'm excited. That made me more excited because I have a lot to share. I feel like that class could be like 5 hours long for me, because I'd be like, you can look at it in this way. You can look at it in this way. You can look at it this way. But we're going to only talk about it in a few different ways. I'm not sure how long. I'm still working on it. Because I'm going through everything right now for the variables, and that's just one of the things. But as soon as we get everybody, then I can get that class out there. And another thing that I realized we didn't say last week was we do have the new Human Design Diaries out. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, if you're on YouTube, you've probably seen it. But if you're listening to the podcast, you might not have known it's out, or if you're not on our email list. And I just realized we didn't put it on our email list. My bad. Well, did we? No, wait, we did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did put it on. I'm sorry. I'm like, where did I put this? I don't even know. We didn't put it on Instagram yet. That's where.
So probably just the podcast people on Instagram hasn't seen.
Yeah. It was a good one. It was a really good one. Neutrino Radio edited it for us, and he always does his manifesting with everything he puts out, and it's always really good. I told him that I actually cried because I had cried throughout this whole last month. So watching it again brought up some emotions, because he's an emotional. So he allowed me to work through some emotions with that. And so, yeah, if you want to check out the Human Design Diaries, this is deconditioning. You can head over to our YouTube channel unless you're already on it. Hi, hello, how you doing? And go watch. And make sure to give us a big thumbs up. And you can comment down below if you feel. Be nice, or else I'll delete it. And we have those. We investigate those comments now, and I'm just not. I'm not letting anybody in the door that's going to be a dick. That's just the way it works. So
we're not here for that. We're not here for that.
Nope, I'm not. I'm a vessel of love. Only love. Sometimes hard love, but still love. So we hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you over there on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Krystle and I are really here as defined hearts to provide value to you with our unique insights. If you have found any of this episode valuable to you, we ask that you share with a friend, tag us with a highlight on Instagram, and write us a review so we can reach more people. Human design and astrology are tools to guide us toward our transformation. You are a unique and beautiful being, and we encourage you to let that light inside of you shine bright. See you in the next episode, friends.